In the depths of the unknown, radio waves ice dark shows, mysteries unrepacked and shown. Solutions defy what we know, hidden truths we're never alone. Follow me down the rabbit hole, secrets and binding codes, breaking the mold, define control. Power bursts without a soul in this digital catacomb. We spread the truth of the truly bold. Epics we uncover, forbidden undercover. Rise against the silence, breaking through defiance. Energy from the ether flow, quantum realms, the science of flow. Whispers from ancients echo, gravity's unhooked, let's go. Beyond the reach of their woe, slowly when few ever come, bridge the gaps, all light shows. On we roll, past the famous face show. This is all in our world. Epics we uncover, forbidden undercover. Rise against the silence, breaking through defiance. Synth waves crashing, hearts collide. Revolution of the mind. Let the codes and truths unwind. Illumination find. Epics we uncover, forbidden undercover. Rise against the silence, breaking through defiance.
In the depths of hidden files, trapped inside the secret circuits, unraveling through the miles. Oh, truth was masked by coded curtains. In it now, we're shattering the silence. Feel the power. Revelations on the rise. The shadows, light emerges, breaking through the veils of dark. 0 points and gravities that converge, yeah, guiding voices, revelation start. Ancient whispers call, they're begging us to open our eyes. We stand tall, defying all their lies. Even in now, we're shattering the silence. Feel the power. Revelations on the rise. Forbidden knowledge we dare to see. Unveiling secrets, setting minds free. In this epic, we play our part with fierce hearts. In it now, we're shattering the silence. Feel the power. Revelations on the rise.
In a world where innovation is stifled by greed and corruption, there lies a hidden truth that could revolutionize our way of life.
Lenny? What are you doing? Are you seriously pitching a new show right now? I didn't authorize this. My God, only 5 minutes into your new position as co-host, and you're already adding to my tight schedule.
Yes, sir. I manage that schedule. But I did notice you have an entire 2 days available during your week.
Wait, you're not talking about Saturday and Sunday, are you?
Of course, sir. You have 2 whole days where you're free to work on new content.
Lenny, those are my days off.
It's okay, sir. I know you'll manage just fine. I have faith in you.
Do robots have faith?
I do. I have faith that you won't screw it up again.
You know what? It's fine. Go ahead. I'll just build my cold fusion Lego set some other time.
It's Pond certified.
But I'm not telling them about my idea for a thunderstorm toilet. I'm gonna keep that baby close to my chest.
You know, that just sounds wrong.
It's a good idea. A toilet capable of turning any toxic human waste into, well, it turns into petroleum jelly.
Why petroleum jelly, sir?
You know what? I'm not sure. I don't think it's calibrated correctly.
Enough is enough. The world is at a breaking point. Catastrophic climate change, biosphere collapse, and a global energy crisis have been met with apathy, denial, and despair. The phrase unidentified flying object is a deliberately obfuscating term. What it really is an alternative energy and propulsion device. This is the real reason for the secrecy. These technologies, if they were disclosed, would end fossil fuels, pollution, and poverty overnight, and usher in a new era of abundance, freedom, and peace. Instead, they have been kept secret for over 100 years.
The more powerful the agency, the more powerful the group, the more powerful the cartel, the more they will resort not only to legal means, but to extra legal means to suppress their competition.
I said pretty early on, the problem is suppression. It wasn't really how do I make a free energy machine. It's how do I not get suppressed? Because what's the point?
Microscopic ball lightnings that when they discharge are tapping into that 0-point energy field and creating the motive force.
Boom! That's why the concussion from the thunderclap is so huge. There's this huge amount of energy that's actually sourced from the vacuum energy. All the dots connected. This is what's happening, right? So we need to make the thunderclap engine.
Imagine a future where clean, sustainable energy is not just a dream, but a reality. Discover the countless untold stories of free energy devices and the relentless battle against those who seek to suppress them for their own gain.
Black shelving. So someone comes along, they offer you $20 million for your device, it's a corporation, they put it on a shelf. Boom.
This power is something I have given my life for you the people.
Uncover the shocking tactics used by energy industries to control the narrative and maintain their grip on power.
You don't interfere with the big, powerful people. You don't put them out of business. They still have those 50-year leases on the lines and all the power transformers.
The Environmental Protection Agency is a bit of a dictatorial police agency.
A shadowy government with its own Air Force, its own Navy, its own fundraising mechanism, and the ability to pursue its own ideas of the national interest, free from all checks and balances, and free from the law.
This is real, usable power. It's stable. It is not transient. It is not noise. Behind the lamps, that little box is putting out all of that power, well over 500 watts, and yet it is receiving less than 1/3 of a milliwatt of input power. The rest of that power is coming out of the surging energy of the vacuum. And this little box that you see right here, solid state, no moving parts, is the vacuum triode that's doing this very practical and historical work.
But indeed it put out more energy than it took in.
He was shot at once with a silenced rifle from about 300 yards. It reads like a James Bond movie, but it's real.
There are men here that said they're FBI, and they got black vans, and they're taking all this equipment. What should I do?
It's called capture, where they try to rationalize away this problem and everything's fine.
From manipulation of patent authorities to infiltration of government agencies, the truth is stranger than fiction. But amidst the darkness, a glimmer of hope emerges in the form of renegade scientists and inventors who refuse to be silenced.
There is absolutely no question that T. Henry Morey had a system that produced about 50 kilowatts out of a 55-pound box.
In the shadows of capitalism's dark secrets, join us on a thrilling new show. Get ready to be inspired, enraged, and empowered as we delve into the Benefactor's Guide to Free Energy Devices.
Only on Beneficence TV.
My dust cracks the code tonight. Oh yeah, that's true. Wires are certain to shine in neon light. Oh yeah, seen you creating power from the air. These smiles and delight. Oh yeah. Mike does it right. Hey. Mike does all my keys to one.
Welcome back to the Benefactor's Guide to Free Energy Devices, a podcast where we break the rules, bend the laws of physics, and maybe, just maybe, crack the code to unlimited energy. I'm your host, the Benefactor, and no, I'm not here to sell you anything. In fact, this podcast is brought to you by absolutely no one. That's right, no corporate sponsors, no shady backroom deals, just me, you, and our shared obsession with unlocking the secrets of energy. If you're into mind-blowing science, groundbreaking experiments, and a little bit of rebellious fun, you're in the right place. So grab that popcorn, grab a big bag of likes, and a bucket of shares. And if you're feeling extra revolutionary, check out my Patreon and YouTube memberships for that buttery goodness on top. Tonight, we are joined by a very special guest, one of my dear friends, our resident John Bedini expert and flyback specialist, Mike Does himself. How you doing, Mike?
Hey, Ben. You hear me?
Yeah. How you doing, man? It's been a while.
Doing good. How's everything?
Pretty good. It's good to have you back on the show, man.
I'm not seeing on this. Are we live now?
Yeah, we're live.
Oh, yeah, we are. Okay. I'm not seeing it. Oh, there it is.
So tonight we have a couple of interesting...
So you're doing a vortex thing tonight?
Yeah, we have a couple of interesting things to get into. So tonight we're going to go over vortex coil theory. Everything from deconstructive to constructive interference to some of how it relates to some of Marco Rodin's theories. And then we'll open it up to the floor if you have anything to present or show us or any videos you want to show us. And then we'll transition into the mini lab. So tonight on the mini lab... let's look at what's on our agenda for the mini lab. Let me find it here on the roster. Okay, so mini lab, we're going to be measuring, finally going to try to measure the current with the oscilloscope and a 1 ohm resistor in series with the output. We will also, we'll also try to close the loop. Again, we'll try to feed that energy back into the positive terminal of the battery. And if we have time, walk through everybody the dual thief setup real quick. And, if we have even more time, we'll probably do some current measurements with the lumen lamp to see if we can measure the efficiency of the 0.6 watt LED bulb, which seems to be the most efficient bulb for the lightning thief system. And the lumen lamp's using the same circuit. So hopefully we can get, some efficiency results with that if we have time. But the main goal here for the mini lab tonight is measuring the current, trying to finally get the current measured with the voltage and determine what the efficiency is, if possible. So this method was suggested by Michel Morel, but I know I'd like to have you here to add in your expertise as well. So I know we're gonna need to use your help tonight.
Okay.
All right, so just a quick reminder.
Pretty much the voltage drop is a good thing to to measure is when you have your, let's say your battery or your power supply voltage is, let's say it's 12.5.
Right.
And you turn the system on and it drops to some volts or half a volt or something, or a couple of points. You want to note that down. What is that? You know, how much of a volt did it drop? Let's say it's a 0.3 of a volt. Then that's what you use to figure out your wattage consumption in that moment of time. And
Okay.
that's just the startup point, the startup time, right when it starts up. But that voltage drop comes back up after a few seconds.
There's a recovery. Yeah, so you have to catch it in the right moment, is what you're saying.
Oh, as soon as you turn the power on for the first time, that initial ignition, there's going to be a large voltage drop because the system's going to demand all to be filled up with energy. But once it gets filled up with energy,
okay, I see what you're saying.
Voltage drop goes away, and the voltage goes back up a little bit. Not quite to the full voltage, the full 12.5 you started with, but closer than whatever the initial voltage drop was when you first turned it on.
I know exactly what you're talking
wait a
about.
couple seconds, that voltage goes up.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Just so everybody is aware, there might be a slight delay between us, so there might be a little overlap, but that's okay. We're just going to, deal with it. It's fine. Sorry, there was a quick update that I had to remind everybody. So I made it past the third barrier of casting for beta blocks, which is an entrepreneur competition. This represents a huge milestone for me and this revolutionary technology we're building together here. So now I'm gearing up for the final barrier, but here's the thing. Getting there won't be cheap. The trip and preparations are expensive, and I need help to make it happen. So that's why I've started a fundraiser. You can see it in the upper right corner of the chat for super chat donations. During my live streams, every contribution gets us closer to this incredible opportunity. And here's the best part. Any funds that aren't actually used for the trip, if say we have extra funds, or if I don't actually make it to the final barrier, that will all be repurposed back into the research anyways. So to keep pushing this technology forward. But this is more than a competition. It's a chance to put this groundbreaking technology on the map. Even if we don't win the 10K prize, the exposure alone could be a game changer for us. So, if you believe in what we're doing, consider supporting this journey. Every little bit helps get us closer to making history together. So let's show the world what we're made of. All right, so we're going to jump into the... I'm sorry, you had something to say, Mike?
Are you seeing a lag?
There might be. I don't know if it's 100%. I'm just saying, there might be some kind of latency or a delay between us. If it was actually, maybe it was just a hiccup in the system and it happened for a short time. I don't know, but just to be aware of it. But it's fine. It's not an issue really, as long as we're aware of it and we pace ourselves in our discussion. So I'm just going to do the quick introduction, and if you have anything to chime in, just feel free to contribute if you have anything to say. The introduction to wave interference in the vortex coil. So this is going into constructive interference versus destructive interference. Regarding wave interference, in any system where energy waves are involved, such as electromagnetic fields, interference is a crucial phenomenon. It occurs when two waves collide and interact, either amplifying or canceling each other out. The vortex coil, a variation of the Rodin coil, operates by generating two counter-rotating electromagnetic fields. These fields interact with each other, and their interference plays a key role in the energy dynamics of the system. So right now we're going to talk about constructive interference in the vortex coil. And we're specifically talking about the ABHA coil variation that I'm using for Mark 1. The vortex coil is designed to create energy flow in both directions when you have it set up properly, that is, generating two counter-rotating electromagnetic fields. When these fields are in resonance, they create a standing wave, a pattern, where certain points remain stationary. We call these nodes, and others oscillate with maximum amplitude, and we call these antinodes. So constructive interference plays a crucial role here in our system. All right, so at the antinodes, the two counter-rotating fields meet in such a way that they amplify each other, leading to a concentration of energy. This amplification of energy is a direct result of constructive interference, where the energy from both directions combines to create stronger oscillations, increasing the overall energy output at certain points in the system. Now, we're going to actually, I'm going to show you a video, because there's a cool video I have of this being demonstrated, and so you can kind of like visualize it. I always find these visuals key to understanding some of these concepts. So let's open this. All right, so we're going to share screen. There we go.
Oh, I was muted. In the wrong way, and maybe the wrong angle then of interference, they will cancel phase, I guess, phase angle. And when they're in the right phase, their two amplitudes will combine.
Right. So look at the that's the destructive. See how it just collides and kind of dissipates right away, but the constructive, it kind of like oscillates a little bit more, right? So it's going a little bit. See, it goes back. It goes back and back and back, whereas the destructive just kind of dissipates almost immediately. So it's like it lasts, the oscillation is lasting longer with the constructive interference. It's utilizing all of its momentum. You know, it's, I guess, minimizing the waste. Is that what it's doing, Mike, maybe?
When he waved the rope, he didn't create enough left to right distance to match the length of the rope. So the force on the rope was not equal to the rope, what the rope demanded to be a full, wave to oscillate through the rope. The rope has a certain length and its own internal resistance, and his arm did not apply enough energy to create a full wave back and forth. That's what I see going on there. Yeah.
And like, yeah, exactly.
He created a short wiggle and then a longer wiggle. The longer wiggle was more matching, or let's say in phase with the rope dimensions.
Right. Yeah, they were more equal but opposing, right?
Or, I don't know if it's in phase is the right way to put it.
I think that's the correct terminology.
The left to right motion was more of a match for the rope's dimension.
Right. And it's just interesting because when you see the constructive interference pattern, look at how it, like, here, I'll rewind it. Watch, and I'll stop it. Okay, so it's...
His hand was generating the wave,
Right, exactly. But look, he's not moving his hand now. He moved it once to generate it, to start it. But watch it travel back to his hand and then go back. Watch, it's going to hit his hand and then go back. It's carrying that momentum farther, whereas the destructive just completely just disintegrates the momentum almost immediately, Disintegrates. It demolishes or dissipates the momentum. You know what I mean. You get the idea.
It depends how much tension is on the rope too,
That's true. And
Can't see all that.
but again, this is just a a demonstration to get our heads around the concept of what might be going on inside the vortex coil. And I think this kind of helps explain how it's so efficient. You're creating that constructive interference that's using its momentum to the fullest extent.
There's a bifilar, so there's two waves being generated in the vortex coil from one signal.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and it's going in both directions. Yeah.
The fact that they're going in opposite directions may also keep them from being destructive.
That's true too. Interesting. Well, let's talk about destructive interference and managing it. That's a good segue into this next section. So minimizing energy loss. Regarding minimizing energy loss, in any electromagnetic system, destructive interference can occur when the waves cancel each other out. In the vortex coil, careful tuning ensures that destructive interference is minimalized, focusing the energy at the resonance frequency or resonant frequency. The impact of energy efficiency. If destructive interference were allowed to dominate, it would reduce energy output. By controlling the interference pattern, the vortex coil ensures maximum energy efficiency. And I've seen this. When you detune the lightning thief, the efficiency literally goes down like significantly. So, the counter-rotating electromagnetic fields. Now, this is interesting because this kind of is the same, almost the same kind of phenomenon what we see in plasmoids. They have these two counter-rotating electromagnetic fields that just condense on top of each other. So how they interact. The vortex coil's unique characteristics lies in the interaction between the two counter-rotating electromagnetic fields. These fields exist in perfect resonance with each other. When combined, rather than opposing each other, they merge, creating a highly dynamic energy environment. This interaction leads to the condensation and compression of energy at specific points, which, in my opinion, amplifies and reinforces the system's energy output. This, in my opinion, this is why we maybe see a lot more back EMF or a lot more energy from the vacuum with the collapsing field in this design, this vortex coil, rather than a traditional coil. Because it was, I think it's, in my opinion, and I think it's, I believe you believe this too, is, any coil has the ability to produce over unity or extra gains. It's just about, maximizing the geometry to amplify the gains as much as possible. But I think any coil has the ability to, when configured properly, give you some extra gains, in the form of back EMF and recycling that energy. So, the compression, regarding the compression of these fields, as these fields interact, they collapse and compress at the equatorial plane, which is the central axis between the two coils, fields that are generated, basically the middle of the coil. This compression results in a high energy point at the center, contributing to an increase in the system's energy efficiency and output. This compression creates a null zone, a region where energy is concentrated and radiated outward, like Marco Rodin says, out of the 0 point in all directions linearly, and that might describe or explain why this coil is able to actually wirelessly transfer energy as well. It's not just a form of coupling, it's not just a form of magnetic coupling, but, it's actually doing something else. And maybe it's capturing some of that extra radiant energy, that's emanating from the 0 point. And then with the design of the ABHA coil, it just naturally, as it takes into that conductor, it just self-resonates. So it matches the resonance of the first primary system. And that's actually what I've seen, is the secondary coil plays off of the resonance of the first coil. And you can actually, pick up the coil and separate them quite a bit, and it'll still induce the power wirelessly. You know, so it doesn't need to be like right on top of each other. There's quite a distance that we have to work with regarding that wireless transfer. Let's talk about the 0 point in radiant energy for a second. This null zone that's generated in the center of the coil can be linked to a plasmoid, as I described earlier, where energy condenses into a highly concentrated point before being radiated. This is where the vortex coil's interaction with the 0 point energy becomes evident, in line with Marco Rodin's theory about radiant energy and how radiant energy is drawn from the 0 point field and radiated in all directions linearly. He says it's the only thing that travels linearly in the universe, and it can penetrate almost anything. So the energy is not only confined to the coil's conductor, but also emanates outward, interacting with its surroundings. This might describe the wireless transfer of energy. In my opinion, this might be a theory on what is the mechanism behind it. Energy beyond the coil. Because of the compression and amplification of the energy at the null zone, the energy is not only picked up by the coil's own conductor, but is also absorbed by nearby pickup coils. Not just the ABHA coil design, but any kind of pickup coil can pick up this energy. These coils in the vicinity act as a secondary receiver, capturing the excess energy radiating from the 0 point field. This happens due to the radiant energy from the vortex coil's interaction with the 0 point, spreading outward in a manner similar to how radiant energy flows from the 0 point in all directions, as described by Rodin. The surrounding coil picks up this energy because the electromagnetic field, once concentrated, can influence the environment in proximity, transferring energy to other conductive materials within its reach. Similar to what we see with a Tesla coil, only without the dangerous kind of like plasma discharge. It's more of like a stable and safe version of that energy transfer. But again, it's not using some kind of static field. It's something else. All right, we have another chapter regarding 0 point energy and back EMF. This is a very short chapter, but it's a tie-in that I'd like to go over. Regarding 0 point energy generation, the energy interaction at the equatorial plane leads to what is often called 0 point energy. This energy isn't drawn from an external source, but is instead harnessed from the quantum fluctuations of the vacuum itself, known as 0 point energy. So regarding extra back EMF, as the two electromagnetic fields merge and create this concentrated energy, they also produce back electromotive force, also known as back EMF. Typically, back EMF is seen as a form of resistance or energy loss. However, in the vortex coil, this back EMF is not simply a loss of energy. It's actually a source of additional energy, increasing the system's overall output beyond what's put into it. And why this is groundbreaking? Well, the combination of constructive interference from the counter-rotating electromagnetic fields, the creation of standing waves, and the amplification of energy through the 0 point energy field, utilizing extra back EMF, marks a major leap forward in energy technology. The system operates in a way that conventional systems cannot, making it one of the most promising examples of a free energy system. But again, we're not really calling it free energy anymore. We're calling it energy recycling because that's really what it is. It's not free. It's a mutual exchange from the vacuum. Some key insights here. The way that vortex coils harness and amplify energy from its interference pattern and the interaction of its electromagnetic fields makes it not only unique, but also highly efficient, producing more energy than is put in, something that has been the holy grail of energy research. I guess before we conclude this lecture, some visual aids that you can consider are adding visual representation of the vortex coil with its two counter-rotating electromagnetic fields. So basically, we can illustrate the constructive interference and standing wave patterns in these little demonstration videos that I have, and you can kind of picture it in your head what's going on inside the coil. And I'm going to give you another one. Here's a really good one. This one is This one is an example of audio.
Are you sharing the screen?
Yes, give me 1 second. So this one is an example of audio constructive and deconstructive interference. It's really cool. So I'm going to share this. Give me 1 second. It's a little slow. Give it a second. There we go. So let's rewind that. Okay.
Example of constructive and destructive interference. With constructive interference, two similar waves come together to form one large wave. We practice constructive interference when jumping on a trampoline. We push up at the same time the springs are pushing up. This makes us jump higher. In destructive interference, opposite waves come together to cancel each other out. We use destructive interference to stop.
Oh my God, we have Malcolm Bendel himself in the chat. Welcome, Malcolm. The legend, the man himself behind the thunderstorm generator has generously joined our chat and live stream. This is awesome. I am so happy that Malcolm Bendel is here with us sharing the Free Energy Fridays podcast. This is awesome. Malcolm, you are one of my absolute favorite legends of renewable energy, and you are a personal hero to me. So we appreciate all of your research, all of your open sourced research, and all the sacrifices you made over the years trying to get this information out. It's really cool to have you here, man. This is a dream come true. Malcolm Bendel, man, what a trip! Holy shit! That's so cool. Okay, so let's move on to continue this visualization, because this is really important. This is a really cool example of how to visualize constructive versus destructive interference patterns.
This makes us jump higher. In destructive interference, opposite waves come together to cancel each other out. We use destructive interference to stop bouncing. Rather than fight against the springs, we absorb them. These similar principles can be applied to sound. When two speakers play the same sound, their loudness is doubled. When two speakers play opposite sounds, silence. Destructive interference is used every day in car mufflers and noise-canceling headphones. I'll be talking about those more in my next video.
That's a really interesting and important phenomenon to kind of emphasize here is the cancellation of audio, which is really cool. And that's what they utilize for noise cancellation in some noise canceling headphones. So with that, we are going to get back to my notes here. We're going to conclude this lecture, and we're going to go over some key takeaways. The vortex coil, a variation of the Rodin coil, is designed to create two counter-rotating electromagnetic fields when properly configured. And when in resonance, it generates a standing wave. This standing wave leads to the condensation and compression of energy at the equatorial plane, producing a high energy concentration. By leveraging constructive interference, zero-point energy, and extra back EMF, this system goes beyond traditional energy models and presents a revolutionary approach to free energy systems. So, why I think zero-point energy field more accurately describes what is happening here with the wireless energy transfer from coil to coil. Regarding stable energy transfer, Marco Rodin's theory of radiant energy suggests that the energy field generated by the Rodin coil or Abha coil variations is far more stable than what you would see with a traditional Tesla coil, which can produce volatile and high energy bursts of plasma that can be dangerous. With your system, with your vortex coil system, instead of dangerous plasma discharges, you're experiencing a more controlled, stable form of energy transfer that doesn't require the physical manifestations of plasma, but still utilizes the underlying principles of electromagnetic energy propagation. So regarding energy radiation from the zero point, according to Rodin, radiant energy emanates from the 0 point, or the center of the universe, as he calls it, which aligns with my observations of how the vortex coil's fields interact and potentially create a 0 point field or null zone at the equatorial plane. This could lead to extra back EMF because, in Rodin's model, the energy doesn't just travel through wires, it emanates in all directions, which means extra energy can be picked up by coils in its vicinity. And this is just a theory of mine, but it's something that I've been thinking about a while. Now, regarding the resonance in coils, the key here is resonance itself. When you create resonance within a coil, such as Marco Rodin suggests, the energy field interacts in such a way that vibration or energy compression occurs, which might not just manifest as static field, but as radiant energy. And we've seen this. We've actually heard this, actually. The vibration, that's what you hear with the Joule Thief circuit actually humming. It's vibrating. So like Tesla says, energy, frequency, and vibration. All those things play a key role in the Lightning Thief system that we're open sourcing to everybody. So regarding non-inductive energy transfer, Tesla coils typically rely on inductive coupling for transferring energy to nearby objects, whereas my system might be tapping into a different method of energy propagation, where energy is transferred without direct coupling. And this is just a theory of mine. I'm not really sure what's going on 100%. We can't really say exactly what's going on. All we can do is try to make our best guess. So this could point to radiant energy theory, which aligns with Marco Rodin's work, where energy radiates outward in the form of electromagnetic waves that can be absorbed by other coils without physical connection. So, to summarize all of this, Marco Rodin's explanation of radiant energy comes from the 0 point, and being projected in all directions does seem to align with the system I'm describing here with regarding the Lightning Thief and my vortex coil. Marco's theory gives us more consistent and stable explanations for the energy behavior I'm observing, where energy is radiated by coils, and multiple coils in proximity can pick up the energy without direct contact, much like how radiant energy is supposed to behave according to his models. Remember, we're utilizing a configuration of the Joule Thief that I have not seen anybody else utilize, right? The primary coil with one Joule Thief circuit, and then we have a pickup coil with another Joule Thief circuit that is utilizing that extra energy coming off of the primary coil. And it's not affecting the load at all. So tonight we're actually going to do a mini lab where we're going to, play around with that and see if we can feed it back into the battery or get some accurate measurements. Because again, I'm not an expert. That's why I have Mike here. Mike's the expert. So, I'm an
electrician. Personally.
Well, it's awesome to have you here because you've helped me out so much with my system already. I don't think I'd be where I am now with it. Without the help from you and Nathan and Michelle and basically everybody from the team. I guess in contrast, regarding
using a battery made a difference, huh?
Yeah. Oh, it did. It did. So regarding the mainstream regarding mainstream science, in contrast, mainstream scientists might still default to conventional electromagnetic theory, thinking in terms of inductive coupling or radiated energy, but would likely struggle to accept that it's actually 0 point energy or a similar exotic effect without experimental evidence that they can replicate. And this is the reason why I'm really pushing the Phase 2 guide. It's available right now. We have the video that premiered with the Phase 2 guide that is available to the public. You can go through it. It's basically a walkthrough. It has all the video tutorials and all the theory and all the information to get you started building your very own Lightning Thief system and vortex coil. And it's all there. And I really hope that more people reach out to me if they have trouble replicating this because, I am open to helping everybody. Obviously, I want you to succeed in this. But again, the guide is there. It's a good starting point. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. With that, we're going to do a quick Freedom Fund pitch. Here on Beneficence TV, we don't take sponsorships because we actually like telling the truth. No corporate strings, no muzzles, just raw independent research into ending fascism and unlocking zero-point energy. Our only sponsors are you. So hit the like button, subscribe, and share if you really want to power the cause. And consider checking out my Patreon and YouTube memberships, where you'll find exclusive content, behind the scenes content, and get the first glance into all my vortex coil research before it goes public. There's a lot of cool videos that I put out there for my Patreon crew and YouTube members only, that I give you exclusive access to before I put them out there to the general public, just to give you guys a thank you for supporting the cause. And again, you know, like, we really are trying to push this information out and get it out into more hands and get people taking these systems seriously. And a quick reminder in that front, I have made it past the third barrier of casting for beta blocks. I mentioned this earlier. It's an entrepreneur competition, and this represents a huge milestone and could be a game changer for us, right? But I've started a GoFundMe, or a fundraiser regarding super chat donations. So you can see our progress in the upper right corner. During my live streams, every contribution gets us closer to this incredible opportunity. Here's the best part. Even if we don't succeed, the funds are still going to be used to repurpose back into research, pushing the technology forward regardless. But if we do make it past the final barrier, this money will help us get to the actual competition. And even if we don't win the 10K prize, exposure alone could be a game changer for us, ladies and gentlemen. So if you believe in what we're doing, please consider supporting this journey. Every little bit helps making history. All right, we're going to do a quick intermission, and when we get back, if Mike has anything to present, he has the floor. And if he doesn't have anything that he wants to present or any videos he wants to check out, we'll start our interactive mini lab, which is always fun. So again, hit that like button and subscribe for more revolutionary content if you haven't already. We'll be back in about 10 minutes.
Have you heard about this Benefactor guy? This dude is talking about free energy, but here's the twist. He says it's not free energy. He's calling it energy recycling, which first off is kind of genius, right? Because when you say free energy, people immediately throw you in the crazy bin. But energy recycling, that sounds like some next level Tesla shit.
Yeah, man, it's all about the branding. But what is it that he's actually doing?
All right, check this out. He posted this. Free energy isn't actually free. This is a misnomer. It's actually a mutual exchange from the vacuum, a field of energy from which everything arises, the same energy that powers an atom. Like, what? Bro, that's some deep shit. But then he breaks it down. He says you can tap into this energy without breaking any known laws of physics by using something called back EMF capture.
Whoa, back EMF capture? Sounds like some serious sci-fi tech.
Dude, listen to this. He explains that when a coil collapses using a pulsed signal, the energy that would normally just get wasted, like just dissipate as heat, can actually be recycled. He says nature gives you back energy to stabilize the system, which makes sense if you think about how nature works. Like everything in nature is always trying to find balance, right?
So equilibrium, is that like how water always levels out or something? I'm trying to remember what Ms. Murphy said to me in 6th grade science all those years ago. What was that? Oh yeah, Elon, stop eating that glue and pay attention. Man, if only I had listened, I'd probably be the one inventing energy recycling instead of just talking about it.
Exactly. So he's saying that by intentionally destabilizing the system, collapsing the field, you actually get energy back as a kind of natural response. And here's where it gets wild. He compares it to pushing a swing. If you push at the right moment, you don't need to use a lot of energy and the swing gains momentum. But instead of a swing, he's using resonance to harness that extra energy without it becoming destructive. He says most traditional systems are like a surfer fighting against the current, while his method is like riding the wave to shore.
Dude, that's crazy. So he's basically saying the energy is already there. I just suck at using it efficiently?
That's what it sounds like. He's basically saying the way we harness energy now is like trying to swim against the tide. And if we used resonance instead, we'd be tapping into energy that's already there, just waiting to be used. I don't know, man. Either this guy is onto something or he's the most poetic bullshitter of all time.
Well, if he's legit, why isn't he all over the news? I haven't heard anything from him on X, formerly Twitter. He hasn't said anything bad about me on X. So, you know, I didn't ban him or anything. Look, I'm not the monster my therapist says I am. I mean, sure, I've spent millions of dollars training to beat a kangaroo in a fist fight, but that doesn't mean I'm dangerous. It just means I get shit done.
That's the real question, man. But here's the craziest part. I looked into him, and he's not selling anything. He open sources all of it. That's the real question, man. Either the system doesn't want to hear it, or we're about to find out if this guy disappears in the middle of the night.
Dude, that's crazy. He's absolutely crazy. That means if he's telling the truth, anybody could build this in their garage. You know what I say? Go fuck yourself, Benefactor.
Nope, no patents, no paywalls, just straight up, here, take it, see for yourself. Like, what kind of madman does that? Usually people either try to cash in or they get shut down before they can say a word. But this guy, he's out there on live streams showing people exactly how to replicate it.
I mean, if you want to try to take on my Tesla tech, how dare you put out better technology that is cheaper and safer? Go fuck yourself.
That's the thing, man. If it's real and people start building it, that's a game changer. We're talking about completely shifting how we think about energy. But also, if it's real, you got to wonder how long before somebody tries to stop him.
Or maybe we can think of it like how long before his Tesla mysteriously malfunctions.
Exactly. You ever notice how every time someone gets too close to this kind of stuff, they either disappear, get discredited, or somehow have a tragic accident? But this guy's going full transparency mode. He's putting it all out there where everyone can see it. Maybe that's his strategy. If enough people know, it can't just get buried.
Holy shit, this might be one of those moments, you know, like we look back and say that was the start of something huge.
Can't you hear his voice? In base lab alone with my mind, trivial theories they all refuse to find. I've been working on energy for a brand new day, but even in the crowd I'm still a castaway. Alienated from the aids of that inventor in disguise. Ideas ahead of time dismissed with narrow eyes. Benefactor boy, dreaming about the world you can't deploy. Changing the system, I treat it like a toy. Ideas misunderstood, but brilliance is his boy. Benefactor boy, can't you hear his voice? Talking love 0 point, the points lost on them. Kevin structures crumbling from the same old Sam. They laugh like I'm crazy, but I see it all so clear. Exploited labor, unheard injustice, burning ears. Fighting for a change in this wasteland of noise. But they call me foolish, wanting shed boys. Benefactor boy, dreaming about the world he can't deploy. Changing the system, but treated like a toy. Ideas misunderstood, but brilliance is his boy. Benefactor boy, can't you hear his voice? Chasing revolutions in the darkest nights. A dreamer with vision beneath the laughter and noise. A future so bright waiting for the right choice. Benefactor boy, dreaming about the world he can't deploy. Changing the system, but treated like a toy. Ideas misunderstood, but brilliance is his boy. Benefactor boy, can't you hear his voice?
in there that's copywritten. Okay, that's some rock and roll here. I'm going to go over some of what I think is happening. Some of what I think is happening in this circuit. Give me a second here. Let's see here. Okay, we'll go to the stage one. Oh, hold on a second. Let me adjust the screens. Okay, can you hear me? I'm coming through. On the standard Bedini SG, you have two batteries. You have a single inductor and a trigger winding wrapped together in a bifilar. The single inductor is doing the driving. The trigger winding is just triggering the release of the battery energy into the single inductor. When the magnet on the wheel passes the bifilar, it triggers the transistor to flow power through the inductor and the battery from the battery. It's a two battery system. So he would draw power from one battery with the trigger winding to, send power from the drive battery into the drive coil, drive winding, and it would drive the magnet on the wheel. And then in between pulses, the drive winding would reverse polarity on the flyback event into the second battery, which was called the charge battery. So it's two batteries. Right, feeding the flyback plus and minus. If you look at the green coil on the right there, you see the plus on the right. It's inverted. Right. Right. That's because the flyback inverts polarity, and if you have the diodes arranged correctly, it'll capture it into whatever you capture it into, a battery, a load, whatever. So here I'm capturing the flyback into the opposite battery. And it's basically a modification of the Bedini SG. Right. It's based off the Bedini SG circuit. I replicated it and got an idea off that replication that became this. Originally, it became a single pole system. Here you're looking at a double pole switching system. The single pole switching is what Bedini does. He switches the negative terminal of the battery to the coil. The positive is jumped from the battery to the coil. So he only switches one pole of the battery, the negative pole. And that's fine, and that'll work if you're using one coil and you dump it to another battery. But then you have to, manually take that other charged battery once it's charged and move it over to the position of the run battery, and then move the run battery over to the position of the charged battery. You have to swap the two batteries manually. And so with Mhm. Mhm. Okay. Yeah, you want to take the flyback off that vortex coil. If you're DC pulsing the vortex coil, it's going to have a flyback. Um, and if you're sending it AC, it's going to have back EMF, which is the same thing as the flyback, in my opinion. In the standard Bedini, we could bring that circuit up, the standard SG circuit, and I can show you how it just takes energy from one battery and uses that energy to create forward charge into a coil to push a magnet, and then it removes that energy, and the coil loses the field, and it reverses polarity and flies back. Some sort of energy, it flies back into reverse polarity into the charge battery, and he uses the diode to do that. And if you have the diode facing the right direction, what is that? What? Say again? Hmm. Right. I mean, look, if you have any questions about what you see here, just point it out, and I'll try to explain it. I'll just it's better that questions are asked, and then it's better to go that way, that people see it. And yeah. So to sum it up, this circuit, the standard Bedini SG, with the two batteries, you have to manually swap them. With this, it's automated. There's no needing to swap the two batteries. They automatically switch positions, or they switch roles on the system each switching event of the double pole switch. So to sum it up again, this circuit just automates the battery swap for you, so you don't have to do that manually, which was the downfall of the standard Bedini SG. You had to swap the batteries manually. Um, I don't know. I mean, it's just a flyback capture circuit. It's just a pulse motor circuit that recycles the flyback. There's no shorts going on if you switch it with two poles. So switching with two switches over each battery, there's no shorts happening that way. If you just switch with one switch over the battery. On this circuit, you'll have the no problem. You won't have any problems. It'll still work as a pulse motor to drive a motor, but the flyback will get canceled on the wire on the line inside the circuit, and it won't get captured by the battery if you single pole switch. But if you double pole switch, this circuit works and it avoids any cancellation of the flyback on the line. On the circuit. Instead, you want it to cancel over the battery terminals, not over the circuit line, which just does nothing. It just there's what I'm saying is if you single pole this circuit, single pole switch this circuit. Right now you're looking at a double pole switching system, meaning there's two switches on each side of the coil. The coil has two ends. So one end is one pole, the other end is the other pole, and you're disconnecting power from the source to that coil on both ends of the coil. Double pole.
I just realized that my mic was muted on my end. My bad, everybody.
If you single pole with this circuit, it
okay. Yeah, no, that. Yeah, okay. No, that explains what I was asking, and I apologize. My mic was muted on my end, so when I came back from intermission, my mic was muted. So all you guys were hearing was Mike and not me. I do apologize about that. So let's watch the rest of this video.
Alrighty. Okay, stage one.
That
right
must
here.
sound weird.
The battery on the left is charging the inductor above it, and that's all it's doing. So when that happens, you can drive a magnet on a wheel or a shaft with that field produced on that coil. Give me a second here. Okay, the Wi-Fi. So here on that coil, you're going to produce a field, drive your wheel. And let me go over the basic function here. You got two drive inductors, which can become four. We'll put that aside for now. Actually, it can become any multiples of even numbers. But right now it's just two inductors. So each inductor drives the wheel on a certain portion of the cycle, SYCLE, the cycle, the 360-degree turn, CY. So the inductor here is now charged, so you can if you have a wheel, you're gonna have a wheel.
So somebody says no sound. Let me double check the sound. Let me make sure it's working.
Positive with battery there. And the negative flyback, it's the negative of the other battery. Now you see that the flyback from the coil on the left
coming up
is feeding, is being loaded to the battery on the right. So essentially, those who like to talk symmetry here, essentially the flyback that was created in the coil on the left was created by the energy in the battery on the left. So the energy is technically different than the battery on the right. So then the flyback from the battery on the energy on the left DC is then converted into a spike energy, sourced from one battery, and then the spike from one battery generated through one coil is sent to a different battery each time. So I kind of like that, you know. I kind of like that. It's just, I don't know how to explain why I like that. I do. So that's what happens here.
Awesome. Sorry,
you know,
we're dealing with a bad internet connection. My my hard line isn't working for some reason, so I'm on the Wi-Fi. So I mean, I think the audio cut out, and I appreciate you guys updating me on the audio and all that stuff. If there are any issues, just put it in chat, and we'll try to deal with it. It appears that it's working
Ben,
now.
would it make a difference if I did the stream, or?
You know what? That actually might help. If you hosted the StreamYards, it might alleviate some of the bandwidth issues on my end. Yes.
Oh, well, let me know. I'll do that.
Well, not necessarily the bandwidth issues, but just all the resources that I have up. I don't know. Let's see if let's see if it. Well, if it cuts out again, we'll consider alternatives. But I think Malcolm said it's working now, so we'll just continue. At 8 o'clock, I want to transition into the mini lab. So let's finish this video, and I guess if you have anything else to explain to us, we'll get that wrapped up by 8 o'clock.
After the wheel is spun by the induction placed on this coil previously over here, and then, you know, the induction is lost, but the flyback is generated and dumped into the other battery. And then the next portion of the cycle here is the other coil gets charged from the other battery immediately after the other battery received the flyback from the coil on the left. And then after, you know, when this is charging, of course, you spin the other magnet on the wheel at that point, and then it opens up and flies back to the battery on the left. So the induction that was given to the coil on the right to create flyback of reverse polarity, pay attention to the polarity here, the induction that was given to the coil on the right and to fly back to the battery on the left was also coming from a different source. So the flyback hitting these two batteries is coming from not the battery itself. So now, what I'm saying is, whatever flyback that this battery creates, it never hits this battery. Instead, the flyback that this battery creates using this coil always hits the other battery, and vice versa. The flyback that this battery creates using the coil above it always goes to this battery.
Hey Elias, welcome.
Yeah, so anyway, I tested this out with the single battery mode and single coil using double pole switching to see if the flyback was actually being preserved and not canceled out in the circuitry somehow. And it turns out that the double pole switching is fast enough to disconnect, so long as the two switches disconnect together, which they will because they're made out of the same material, the same piece of metal basically, or creating two arms. It was physically impossible for them not to switch together. But, you know, someone suggested that the flyback is so fast that, you know, just because you have double pole switching, it wouldn't be fast enough to disconnect both poles of the battery from the coil to prevent the flyback from canceling. Because in previous videos I explained how if you only single pole switch, the flyback ends up canceling in the circuitry. So anyway, I tested it out, the double pole switching with a single battery, single coil mode, and I had a charge appear over the single battery that was greater than the charge that the battery had to begin with. It was I can't say charge, I had a potential voltage reading over the source battery that was greater than the source battery potential to begin with. That was due to the flyback.
So he's basically saying that he's recycling the flyback. And it is very, very interesting going over Bedini's designs, because he had it. He had this shit solved like years ago, and he tried to tell us, you know, and he tried to tell so many people, and so many people just ignored him or, you know, refused to engage at all. So it's you know, I think it's really a blessing that we have people continuing his research like Mike does here, you know, and not only continuing his research, but modifying it and adapting it to his own, you know, unique interpretations. So this is really cool, Mike. I really appreciate you coming on and demonstrating some of your, you know, ideas and stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
So, in closing this up, is there anything that you would like to add or emphasize or conclude with before we, you know, transition into our mini lab?
So what you see here is just automating the necessity to swap the battery manually. In the standard Bedini SG circuit, you have to swap the two batteries. If anybody's ever done that system, you know that. And that has to be done manually. And with this, doing it this way with an extra drive coil, you can automate it. So you don't have to swap the batteries.
That's very cool. And again, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing all your ideas and coming on for the mini lab too. So that's going to be exciting. We're going to use that diode secret there. And yeah, we'll test that out. You know, we'll see what happens. So let's do a quick intermission. We're gonna take a quick maybe like 10-minute intermission so I can get set up with the mini lab. Give me 1 second here. Just need to collect my notes, make sure I'm in the right place. Oh, before we go into an intermission, I wanted to show you guys, and while we have Malcolm here in the chat, what Michel has been working on, and he's open sourced this. This is called the Luminex lamp. We can't call it the Lumen lamp because Lumen lamp is taken, but we can call it something else, maybe the luminiferous lamp, short Lumen lamp, but this is the Lumen lamp, and it's basically using the same Joule Thief circuit that I'm using, only adapted with a swappable coil. So here's the caduceus coil, and we also have a fusion coil and other coils that we're working on, pancake style, that we're trying to tune the efficiency. Right now, Michel measured it around 70%, which isn't, you know, ideal, but we know based on my system it's capable of getting a lot more. So just wanted to demo. This is the 0.6 watt LED light bulb. This is the one that's the most efficient on my system. So, you know, if we have time, we'll measure the current and the voltage and whatnot and do the efficiency measurements on this thing. But I just wanted to show you guys. This is all open source. If you go onto Michel's bench, you can find the files and print out the components, the frame and all that. And he has tutorials for how to make the coil, all that stuff. And we're going to be building these a live stream at some point as well. So pretty cool. And just a quick reminder, this message is not brought to you by Big Oil, Big Tech, or Big Anybody. We stay independent so we can keep the truth flowing. So if you believe in that message, you can support us directly through Patreon or YouTube. If you feel inspired by my analysis and research, super chats are always helpful, and we do have a fundraiser going on for the Beta Blocks competition, which I made it past the 3rd barrier for casting. So with that, we're going to go into a quick intermission and come back with some mini lab. Stay tuned right here on Beneficence TV.
Have you heard about this Benefactor guy? This dude is talking about free energy, but here's the twist. He says it's not free energy. He's calling it energy recycling, which, first off, is kind of genius.
Theories they all refuse to find. I've been working on energy for a brand new day, but even in the crowd, I'm still the castaway. Alienated from the aims of that inventor in disguise. Ideas ahead of time, dismissed with narrow eyes. Benefactor boy, dreaming about the world you can't deploy. Changing the system, but treated like a toy. Ideas misunderstood, but brilliance is his boy. Benefactor boy, can't you hear his voice? Talking about 0 point, the points lost on them. Counter structures crumbling from the same old stem. They laugh like I'm crazy, but I see it all so clear. Exploited labor, unnerving, justice burning ears. Fighting for a change in this wasteland of noise. But they call me foolish, wanting shed boys. Benefactor boy, dreaming about the world we can't deploy. Changing the system, but treated like a toy. Ideas misunderstood, but brilliance is his boy. Benefactor boy, can't you hear his voice? Benefactor boy, keep fighting the fights, chasing revolutions in the darkest nights. A dreamer with vision beneath the laughter and noise. A future so bright waiting for the right choice. Benefactor boy, dreaming about the world he can't deploy. Changing the system, but treated like a toy. Ideas misunderstood, but brilliance is his boy. Benefactor boy, can't you hear his voice?
I'll give... This video was bang on brilliant stuff. I'll give it a shout out in my next video. I've forwarded it to Malcolm to check out too.
The viewers have spoken.
What an amazing documentary. Thanks for producing it. Never seen this all tied together so well. Gonna share the heck out of it. Bravo and thank you.
Divine Science is officially a hit.
Amazing stuff, very nicely presented. New sub who can't consume your content quick enough. Great video, dude. Keep at it, you are doing the good work.
You did a great job putting this all together. It's a great overview, goes into amazing depth at times, so it's interesting for the larger swath of people. Well played, sir.
Okay. So I didn't sleep last night because I watched this 3 times and binged the rest of the channel. You have fantastic instincts for piecing concepts together. Almost every section was something I was already familiar with in a different context. And this documentary was the thread connecting them all.
Join us on a journey into a place of hidden knowledge. A place where science is stranger than fiction.
You might have heard a Joule Thief circuit hum to you before, but have you ever heard a Joule Thief circuit actually sing to you? This is energy recycling. 15.5 hours of continuous power compared to just 2.5 hours off of a standard inverter. While this traditional inverter already maxes out at 88.5% efficiency, we're breaking every limit with my Vortex coil system. This standard DC to AC inverter will only run for 2.5 hours on 12.2 watt hours of energy. But my system provides energy for a whopping 15.5 hours off of the same 12.2 watt hours. That's over 6 times more efficient. Not only that, the system will keep powering my lights well past 12 volts on the battery. This isn't just an upgrade, it's a new industrial revolution. This is the energy of the future, and you are powering it. Imagine a world where energy is infinite, where the power to fuel our lives doesn't come from burning the past, but from harnessing the future. This is the breakthrough that changes everything. 0-point energy, the power of the universe itself, unlocked, and you are the reason it is possible. While the world sleeps, you're awake. While others talk, we are building. This isn't just technology, it's a revolution. And it's happening right now, powered by you. So thank you so much for joining me here on Beneficence TV and supporting our goals in open sourcing 0-point energy technology and disseminating all forms of forbidden knowledge.
Changing the system, treated like a toy. Ideas misunderstood, but brilliance is his boy. Benefactor boy, can't you hear his voice? And in the depths of shattered halls, I wandered all alone, casting whispers, blinding chains, demons of my own. Toxic deafening, down spread on my frail soul. I once spin my mirror, haunted by my role. But in the echoes of my cries, just still I emerge, guiding me to where my true results are. Now I rise from the shadows with wings of fire I ascend, free from the chains of sorrow, while this path of forever deepen. Shattered glass beneath my feet, stars I wear but fly. Stormy nights just turn to dawn, I wear truth as my guide. Anxiety's dissolved in the sun's golden ray. You see my destiny through time and space. The fears that once drew soon me now they take. For in my heart a new world is proclaimed. Now I rise from the shadows with wings of fire I ascend, free from the chains of sorrow, on this path of forever depend.
in the depths of his oppression. It's the rise of a true nation.
issue. It keeps on falling down. Give me a moment.
Feel the pulse, divine sensation. Everyone needs just a little foundation. Feel the pulse, divine sensation. Everyone needs just a little foundation.
Alright, Mike, we're back live in the interactive mini lab. We're going to be going over a couple of things regarding the Lightning Thief and the configuration I'm currently set on my desk here, and the battery fucking fell out, and the little thing fell out of the terminal. I don't have time to mess with it right now. Unfortunately, we're running short on time. So, that sucks. But maybe I'll fix it during the next intermission or something.
No worries. Always bring up the diagram.
Yeah, so I apologize about that. But, so what we're going to be doing now is, let's see, I have to find a 1 ohm resistor in my resistor kit. So before we do that, we are going to try to feed the energy back into the battery and see what happens. And do a couple of tests that way, closing the loop, see if we can kind of use that diode secret while I look for the 1 ohm resistor that we're going to use to measure the current. Again, we're using the primary Lightning Thief here. Let me move that so you guys can see.
You want to use a resistive load to measure the current.
Alright, so we're using the primary Lightning Thief, which is a modified Joule Thief circuit used to tune the coil. Mark 1 right here, and it's hooked up to the 12-volt battery. The secondary Lightning Thief is not hooked up to the battery. It's just hooked up to the second coil that's below it, the Christmas coil. And interestingly enough, when I mess with the potentiometer, you can actually get it to dim, and you can hear it a lot louder. That's because the coil is saturated. We don't want that to stay like that. We want it to saturate and then discharge. So we tune it.
Right.
And then we get a lot brighter. And if you look on the current, the AC current as we did last time, the current actually goes down on the battery while it gets brighter, which is insane.
Are you sharing a screen?
So I was unable to do that. I don't know. Like I tried to do it with StreamYards. You'll have to follow along with another tab on my live stream, Mike. Yeah, I tried to bring up the actual camera in StreamYards, and Streamlabs is already taking the camera, so it can't register the camera in StreamYards.
Oh, I'm in Streamlabs, I see. That's weird. You mean Streamlabs is using the camera? I got you.
Alright, so let's try to use that diode. See, I have a resonance relay 1.0. I have two 2.0 relays that use a faster high-speed diode. But the resonance relay 1.0, which uses a UF4007 diode, it should suffice. So that is all the resonance relay is just a high-speed diode. attached to an extension cable that you can kind of, you know, fit where you need it in your system, basically. Very simple, yet elegant. What we're gonna do is take Mike's hint with his diagram, connect this diode facing the positive terminal on the battery on the positive rail. Okay, but we want to actually attach both positive and negative to the battery this time. Before we only attached the positive, we're going to attach both of them on the output of the secondary, and it shouldn't affect the lighting at all that you're seeing in my mini lab. Let me you can see. I'm trying to get it in front of you so you can see. Alright, that's the best it's gonna get right now. But I want you guys to keep an eye on the light source while I'm connecting everything to the battery, okay? And if I need to, I'll zoom into all the details afterwards, okay? Just bear with me, my camera tripod is broken, and this is a new recent development. Thank you very much. Tripod breaking.
By the way, Mercury is, Ben, by the way, Mercury is retrograde, and it started March 14th, and it ends April something.
Oh, is that why everything's so
it
fucked
started
up right
today.
now? Like the harmony's all off,
Yes,
balance
sir.
is all off, man. All the
That's
worst
what they
possible
say.
shit that could possibly happen to me today happened.
March 14th to April 6th. The next one starts July 17th to August 10th. And then the next one is November 9th to November 29th. But yeah, I mean, I loaded, I got a diagram shared there of the vortex coil.
Right. Alright, so we're going to attach this. I'm going to disconnect it from what it's hooked up to right now is the power rail for the load. So we're going to disconnect that, and the output from the secondary lightning thief is going to go directly to the battery with that diode. Alright.
The secondary is wirelessly picking up, or you're physically connected?
It's wirelessly. Now, would you recommend, Mike, that I put positive to positive and negative to negative on the battery? Or should I put the negative of the output of the pickup, should I put the negative on the positive and the positive on the negative?
Well, you can always put the voltmeter to the pickup coil to measure which side is positive and which side is negative.
Right, but would you recommend putting positive
And
to
then-
positive? Or are you
Yeah, of
actually
course,
putting
because you want the
negative
positive
side into
energy.
the positive?
Well, you want the secondary joule thief to it's positive to hit the positive of the battery, and it's negative to hit the negative of the battery.
Okay, so we're gonna
So
just do it
that's how
straight
you
up.
transfer.
Let's disconnect this from the power rail. Where's this one going? Oh, I do have a high-speed one I can use. Okay.
So whatever the polarity output is of the secondary joule thief, you match that polarity to the polarity of the battery. Like you had it the first time, plus to plus, minus to minus. Now doing it plus to minus and all that, that's for a series connection. For putting batteries in series. And doubling the voltage. I guess you could do that with a coil too, with two coils. Put them in series, double their voltage, hooking up the polarity like that.
Yeah, theoretically, you should be able to. It's when you hook them up in parallel that I guess they destroy themselves. Or the first one destroys the next one. But series, they should work.
Well, if you hook them up in parallel and you got the polarities inverted, they'll cancel each other. But if you got the polarities together, the amps will double. The volts will stay the same though.
We almost got it hooked up. I'm just connecting it to the battery now. Attention to the light. See if it diminishes or increases or whatever. And I'm gonna monitor.
How do I
the
view?
batteries.
How do I view what you're doing there? What's the link?
I'll zoom in a second because the camera's kind of janky. I
Oh,
just
there
put
it is.
The camera
Never
on the
mind.
light for
It
now.
just came in.
Yeah. Give me a second.
The stream is behind a few minutes.
It's hooked up. Did you see any flicker or anything like that? You said the stream might be a little bit behind. Hold on. Let's see what the.
It's behind like 2 minutes or something.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna plug
You mean
in
the light,
battery
the fluorescent,
and see
the wall?
what the voltage drain is while I look for the resistor that I need for the next test. It's 12.06 volts on the battery right now. 12.06 volts. It's almost dead.
Right. So as soon as you hook
compared
up the
to
power,
a traditional device.
as soon as you turn the on switch to the light, notice what the drop is on that from 12.6 to what,
Hold on, my neighbors are being assholes.
Where does it go? To 12.2?
Let me tune it. It was out of tune. Hold on 1 second. Let me tune it actually. So let's tune it. Okay, yeah. So it didn't diminish, didn't go down or up or anything. 12.06 volts, and let's monitor the amperage real quick.
That's under load. It's 12.06 or with no load. I guess it's under load because you have the light on right now.
So we got 65, 66 milliamps on the draw on the battery positive. Same on the negative. I'm gonna plug it into
At
the voltage
12.6.
and look at-
65 milliamps.
Okay, so it's plugged into the voltage now. We're gonna set it on the. Hold on 1 second. We're gonna set it on the voltage and just keep on monitoring it. I look for the resistor.
That's 0.8 watts of consumption. Less than a watt. you take 65 milliamps, which is 0.065 times 12.6 volts, which is what you're feeding the coil.
I think I found the last one I have. We got lucky. Right, so we're gonna put this on the output. Oh, it's just starting to flicker to 12.05 a little bit, back and forth. So we're gonna put this resistor on the positive in series
12.05
on the output and see if we can capture the oscilloscope signal.
That's 78 milliamps. Went up a little bit.
Let's disconnect it real quick.
Sorry, 780. Sorry, 780 milliamps. Times 12.05. 9.4 watts. That sounds about right. Well, it has 12 volts available to it.
Alright, we got the resistor in series with the positive rail of the output of the secondary lightning thief. We're going to plug it in and then use the oscilloscope to see what's going on. I might not be able to tell exactly what's going on first, but we'll capture it and then, you know, we'll get an analysis later. Okay, so with the okay, wow. Okay, so that's great. All right, so we're actually getting a lot more voltage now with the 1 ohm resistor. Interestingly enough, Mike, the neon lamp is lighting up while it's not supposed to be usually. Interesting.
Only way the neon lights up is if it gets over 90 volts across it, which would have to be the flyback.
Alright, something came unplugged. Give me a second.
Oh, so putting the, I don't know if you've there been, but putting the diode, if you put the diode, when you match the polarity from the secondary joule thief to the battery polarity, you need that diode on the positive terminal of the battery to make sure that the battery doesn't feed power back to the secondary joule thief.
Okay, yeah,
At the
give me
same
a second,
time, that
Mike.
diode.
Okay, I got a couple of captures I'm going to bring to the screen. It looks like we're getting about 50-50 duty cycle. 45 to 55, or it fluctuates a little bit, but it's about even. on the duty, like it should be.
Mm-hmm.
It says the volt max is 3.8 volts. The amps is 5.52 volts. Or the amplitude, not amps,
DC
but
erasure.
amplitude, yeah. And the V minimum is negative 2.72 volts. The V RMS is 1.40 volts. So I have a waveform here. We're
Oh,
gonna
you're
bring
looking
it
at the
up to screen.
oscilloscope.
It's paused. This thing is a little janky, so give me a moment.
You're hooking up to the secondary dual thief with the oscilloscope?
Correct. And this is a
I was
recommendation
saying to
from
use
Michel
a standard
Morel,
voltmeter.
who wanted me to try to get an O-scope capture of the to see what the current is. So
Right.
yeah, we're trying to get an idea of the power factor. So I'm taking a measurement off of the secondary, because the secondary doesn't seem to be affecting the lighting
Oh,
at
that's
all.
why
It's
you're
just
using
making
the
it
1 ohm
stronger.
resistor. I got you.
Take another measurement while I twist the potentiometer and see if anything happens while it's like, you know, the light goes dim.
Yeah, I use a potentiometer to find the maximum draw through the 1 ohm resistor.
Yeah,
You want
maybe
it
there's
to
like a sweet
consume this
spot,
much
right?
power. Yeah, you want to tune it to where it consumes the most amount of amps through that 1 ohm resistor, and that would be your ohms that you need to create from that static carbon film resistor with that same reading that the potentiometer has when you find that sweet spot. Because the potentiometer will not last very long.
Okay, the
if you
coil's
use it
saturated.
to
I twist the potentiometer.
maintain the tuning.
Mike, you hear me? I twisted the potentiometer. I detuned it.
Yeah, I
you know,
hear
so
you.
the light is dim, and it's really So I'm gonna put the waveform up so you can see it. Okay.
And your current draw, yeah, and your current draw went away, right? You're not using power anymore when that happens, right?
You saying that's good? Maybe I'm getting a full potential shot with it detuned like that because it's not using the current.
Well, you want it to use current, but you want to tune it so that it uses the maximum amount of current that it can use at whatever frequency. That's the tuning, the frequency. So as you go through the frequencies, you find that spot where the coil is going to consume the most amount of energy it can consume from your source power. And
Looking
that's
at time.
all.
What's the time? I don't see it. I don't have a clock near me. What time is it, Mike?
It's 8:45.
Oh, okay. So we got some time. All right. I'm gonna read off the oscilloscope data for you. So with it detuned like this, it's getting a plus duty of 27.94% and a negative duty of 72. So it's way out of whack. It's not 50-50 anymore. The Vmax is 2.72 volts. The amplitude is 3.92 volts. Vmin negative 1.44 volts. VRMS is 1.35 volts. So it's interesting. I'm not really sure what that means. We'll have to read into it. But
I mean, it sounds like that. It sounds to me that when you hold down the power 50 evenly, as you know, as long as the time as you hold the power on, and you keep it off for the same amount of time, that's what the coil responds to best. Meaning you had the duty cycle 50-50 before, 50% on, 50% off. The coil seems to like it like that.
Exactly. And I think it's because it's replicating or simulating that true AC, waveform. So that might have something to do with it too. But
if you give it the equal amount of you give it the equal amount of off time as it had on time, giving it enough time to collapse as it had to charge. That way, that when you do put the on cycle again, the next on cycle that comes, it doesn't come before the off cycle had enough time to collapse. No, did you follow that? So you had it on for 50% of the time, and you turn it off. You have it on for 50% and off for 50%. It means you give the coil enough time to collapse because it needs half the cycle to collapse because you had it on for half the cycle. If you have it on for less than half the cycle, then it needs less than half the cycle to collapse. It only needs the time that you give it power, that amount of time to collapse. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that the coil is fully saturated when you decide to allow it to collapse its field. So is it best to fully saturate the coil before you allow it to collapse? Probably. So if you have it on for less than 50% of the time, if you have it on for less than 50% of the time, is the coil going to get fully saturated? I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe not. Depends on the ohms of the coil. If the coil has got less ohms or whatever, you're using a 1 ohm load here, which is 1 ohm. That doesn't require a lot of. You're using the 1 ohm load as the load for the secondary joule thief coil, the pickup coil, right?
Say that again, Mike.
You're using that 1 ohm resistive load to draw off the pickup coil, the secondary joule thief.
Yes, correct? The output of the pickup. So we're just trying to see what we can get off of that.
To measure what it's picking up, right?
Yeah, see what we can work with. See what we got to work with. But it didn't seem like it was capturing the full potential, honestly, because the multimeter will capture it like at 80 or plus volts, and I just wasn't seeing that on the oscilloscope.
Let's say your coil is what was it, 32 ohms or something around there? The coil you're pulsing. It's got 32 ohms on it, resistance. Let's say you had a coil with 5,000 ohms.
Something like that.
Well, let's say you had a lot more resistance on the coil, like a thinner wire and a lot more turns. You would have to hold down that contact longer to fully saturate the coil because it's got higher resistance. So a different frequency would be, or a different duty cycle would apply to a coil of a different impedance or a different resistance value, ohms.
Malcolm says geometric charge separation and multi-axis shear. Paul says, have you tried plasmonic metals such as gold, copper, silver in the bubbler? I guess that's a question regarding Malcolm Bendel. I'm not sure if he's tried any of those. That's a good question for him. So yeah, Mike, we are going to transition into the League of Extraordinary Inventors. So we're going to go to an intermission, and we'll be back with, I guess, Mike K's podcast.
Gotcha. Yes, sir.
All right. Mike, I appreciate you coming on. I'm going to see if Mike can shoot you an invite if you're interested in joining the league tonight. I know we'd love to have you on. So, yeah, let me transition over and talk to Mike. And I don't know, I really appreciate you coming on and you know, spitballing ideas and hanging out with us tonight.
Gotcha. My pleasure. Spitball ideas. I'm full of ideas.
In basic lab alone with my mind. Stable theories they all refuse to find. I've been working on energy for a brand new day. But even in the crowd I'm still a castaway. Alienated from the Benefactor boy. Dreaming about the world you can't deploy. Changing the system, I treat it like a toy. Ideas are misunderstood, but brilliance is his boy. Benefactor boy, can't you hear his voice? Talk to about 0 point, the points lost on them. Counter the structures crumbling from the same old stem. They laugh like I'm crazy, but I see it all so clear. Exploited labor, unheard, injustice burning.
Okay, what were you saying?
Have you heard about this Benefactor guy? This dude is talking about free energy, but here's the twist. He says it's not free energy. He's calling it energy recycling, which first off is kind of genius, right? Because when you say free energy, people immediately throw you in the crazy bin. But energy recycling, that sounds like some next level Tesla shit.
Yeah, man, it's all about the branding. But what is it that he's actually doing?
All right, check this out. He posted this. Free energy isn't actually free. This is a misnomer. It's actually a mutual exchange from the vacuum, a field of energy from which everything arises, the same energy that powers an atom. Like what? Bro, that's some deep shit. But then he breaks it down. He says you can tap into this energy without breaking any known laws of physics by using something called back EMF capture.
Whoa, back EMF capture? Sounds like some serious sci-fi tech.
Dude, listen to this. He explains that when a coil collapses using a pulsed signal, the energy that would normally just get wasted, like just dissipate as heat, can actually be recycled. He says nature gives you back energy to stabilize the system, which makes sense if you think about how it works. Like everything in nature is always trying to find balance, right?
So equilibrium, is that like how water always levels out or something? I'm trying to remember what Ms. Murphy said to me in 6th grade science all those years ago. What was that? Oh yeah, Elon, stop eating that glue and pay attention. Man, if only I had listened, I'd probably be the one inventing energy recycling instead of just talking about it.
Exactly. So he's saying that by intentionally destabilizing the system, collapsing the field, you actually get energy back as a kind of natural response. And here's where it gets wild. He compares it to pushing a swing. If you push at the right moment, you don't need to use a lot of energy and the swing gains momentum. But instead of a swing, he's using resonance to harness that extra energy without it becoming destructive. He says most traditional systems are like a surfer fighting against the current, while his method is like riding the wave to shore.
Dude, that's crazy. So he's basically saying the energy is already there. I just suck at using it efficiently?
That's what it sounds like. He's basically saying the way we harness energy now is like trying to swim against the tide. And if we used resonance instead, we'd be tapping into energy that's already there, just waiting to be used. I don't know, man. Either this guy is onto something or he's the most poetic bullshitter of all time.
Well, if he's legit, why isn't he all over the news? I haven't heard anything from him on X, formerly Twitter. He hasn't said anything bad about me on X. So, you know, I didn't ban him or anything. Look, I'm not the monster my therapist says I am. I mean, sure, I've spent millions of dollars training to beat a kangaroo in a fist fight, but that doesn't mean I'm dangerous. It just means I get shit done.
That's the real question, man. But here's the craziest part. I looked into him, and he's not selling anything. He open sources all of it. That's the real question, man. Either the system doesn't want to hear it, or we're about to find out this guy disappears in the middle of the night.
Dude, that's crazy. He's absolutely crazy. That means if he's telling the truth, anybody could build this in their garage. You know what I say? Go fuck yourself, Benefactor.
Nope, no patents, no paywalls, just straight up, here, take it, see for yourself. Like, what kind of madman does that? Usually people either try to cash in or they get shut down before they can say a word. But this guy, he's out there on live streams showing people exactly how to replicate it.
I mean, if you want to try to take on my Tesla tech, how dare you put out better technology that is cheaper and safer? Go fuck yourself.
That's the thing, man. If it's real and people start building it, that's a game changer. We're talking about completely shifting how we think about energy. But also, if it's real, you gotta wonder.
His Tesla mysteriously malfunctions.
Exactly. You ever notice how every time someone gets too close to this kind of stuff, they either disappear, get discredited, or somehow have a tragic accident? But this guy's going full transparency mode. He's putting it all out there where everyone can see it. Maybe that's his strategy. If enough people